Okay, so day one of the Beetle project. Quick summary here. I already removed the bonnet and the seats and the fuel tank so that we just have a bit more space to work with. Also started removing a bunch of wires. We decided we're going to rewire this whole car because this is just a mess. You can see how it looks on the inside without the seats here, and I started looking at our rust situation. Let me put the flash on. If we look under here, I mean, for a Beetle that is maybe not too bad. Maybe it gets bad in there. Anyway, that's a problem for later. Then if we look at the back, so the motor is actually coming in here. The differential and the gearbox is one unit on the Beetle, right at the back. So the clutch will be there, and in between the motor that we're putting on and the existing gearbox. So you'll actually be able to still select different gears. And yeah, we're still deciding where we are putting the battery cooling, the radiator for our battery cooling. Are we going to put it at the rear or radiator here? I'm just worried about airflow, because once it goes through the radiator, where does the air go? It's not really, there's a very small gap in the bonnet at the front, but that might not be enough. Whereas in the rear, well, this was made to suck in air through there, and if we put our radiator right here, it will go through our radiator and then down out. So yes, the rear battery is actually fitting in here behind the back seat, and the front battery box, you can see one of the battery boxes. That's the front battery box. The front battery box just mounted a bit higher up. I started removing also the speedometer. We are putting in a screen behind the body panel right there. Still need to figure out how we're going to do the speedometer for that, because it actually uses a mechanical speedometer. You can see the gap where the previous owner made a hole for the speakers that he put in. So I think I'll neaten that up with a bit of 3D printing or something. Here you can see the other contents of the kit. Don't know if I mentioned the cooling parts that we got, and the heating parts actually. So this is the heater. I was going to say at some point that we don't need a heater in South Africa, but then I realized on a very cold morning your windows still fog up, so we might still want to install the heater, and I'm unsure, but I think so. These pipes, they came from the back where the engine heat was generated, and then they come up through this small holes in here, and I think that's what helps with a window that's fogged up. So we might put our heater just at the front, going to these two vents, and that will solve that problem. You can also see the inverter cooling parts, and these are for the battery modules. But we still need to buy our own radiator and pump and fan maybe. So yeah, lots of work to do. Tesla battery module, Tesla battery modules box, that's the front one. Here you can see the BMS stuff, the DC to DC converter, that's the cable for the AC of the charger. bunch of fuses and connectors. That's the charger, charge port, the 12 volt battery, the clutch, the inverter of the motor wiring kit, I think, and then we have the rest of the Tesla battery modules and the big almighty Hyper 9 motor, as well as the rear battery box. And this is where I throw all the old parts from the Beetle. So yeah, that's the summary of day one. I'm overall very excited to see where this project goes, and stay tuned. Cheers.